Chapter 1125. Smack. Lu Ming rushed over and slapped Wu Qingkong's face. Wu Qingkong let out a blood-curdling scream as his body slammed into the platform. His head was like a hammer, causing the platform to rumble. Wu Qingkong felt his head buzzing. He was completely dumbfounded. Crack. Then a piercing pain came from his left leg, waking him up. My leg! He screamed. Lu Ming stomped on one of his legs, breaking all the bones. Crack. Then Lu Ming stomped on his right leg, breaking it. Wu Qingkong screamed as he broke out in cold sweat. What are you screaming for? Didn't you say you were going to break all my limbs and bones? If that's the case, I'll let you have a taste. Lu Ming scolded as he formed a long spear in his hand. He swept it across Wu Qingkong's arms, breaking all the bones in his arms. This was not an ordinary bone break. It contained Lu Ming's terrifying vital essence. Wu Qingkong's vital essence vibrated, shattering all the bones in his arms. Even with Wu Qingkong's powerful cultivation and physical strength, he would not be able to recover in a few months. In the spectator stands, the Tianwu sword sect's upper echelons looked extremely gloomy. Some of them wanted to rush up and chop Lu Ming into pieces. However, they could only endure it in such a situation. Your screams are so fucking unpleasant. You sound like a pig being slaughtered. Get lost. In the end, Lu Ming kicked Wu Qingkong, sending him flying off the platform. Of course, the last kick had also shattered all the bones in Wu Qingkong's body. It would be difficult for him to recover in less than half a year. In a battle between geniuses, every second mattered. Wu Qingkong would probably be overtaken by other geniuses in half a year's time. A disciple of the celestial martial sword sect flew out and caught Wu Qingkong, carrying him to the spectator stand. An elder of the celestial martial sword sect fed Wu Qingkong a healing pellet. That thief is so ruthless. The Tianwu sword sect's elder gnashed his teeth in hatred. Lu Ming was too ruthless. He had shattered all the bones in Wu Qingkong's body. Not a single bone was left intact. It would be difficult to recover in a short period of time. At this moment, the battle on the platform became even more intense. Lu Ming had defeated Wu Qingkong, while Sherdou and Kong Lin were about to win as well. One of the 6 second-class prodigies had already been knocked off the platform. That trash! Seeing that Wu Qingkong had been defeated, Sherdou could not help but yell. Then, he let out a wild roar as his body shone with a dazzling golden light. In the next moment, Sherdou transformed into his true form. It was a golden lion, 5 meters tall and more than 10 meters long. Its entire body was covered in golden fur, and there were even golden flames dancing on its fur. Sun Lion. Lion Do had 90% of the Sun God Lion's bloodline. He was almost a pure-blooded Sun God Lion. As long as he broke through to become a ruler, he would be able to transform into a real Sun God Lion. Roar. Sherdou let out a loud roar. Now that he had transformed into his true form, he was even more terrifying. With a loud roar, the heavens and earth shook, and the clouds in the sky were scattered. With a slap of his huge paw, a second-class prodigy was sent flying off the platform. He spat out a mouthful of blood. The difference was too great. One move was enough to seriously injure him. The second-class prodigies who were able to enter the top 20 were all elites among the second-class prodigies. However, they were still no match for Sherdou. Roar. Sherdou let out a loud roar. His golden flames surged as his combat strength exploded. 2 more prodigies were sent flying. The remaining 2 were sent flying by Kong Lin's 2 slaps. In this way, the 6 second-class prodigies were all defeated, including Wu Qingkong, who was sent flying by Lu Ming. A total of 7 prodigies were defeated. There were only 13 left on the platform. As long as 3 more prodigies were defeated, the top 10 would be born. Sherdou's cold gaze first fell on Lu Ming. On the other side, Kong Lin's gaze first swept across Sandalwood Ferry and Jing Kongling, then landed on Di Shun. Sherdou, leave Di Shun to me and Ming Lu to you. How about we take one each? Kong Lin said. That's exactly what I want, Sherdou said. At this moment, Kong Lin's gaze fell on Sandalwood Ferry and Jing Kongling. He smiled and said, Sandalwood Ferry, after I take care of Di Shun and Ming Lu, there will only be 11 prodigies left on the platform. I'll have to ask Miss Kongling to step down. This way, You can also enter the top 10. Kong Lin was one of Sandalwood Fairy's admirers. Naturally, he would seize the opportunity to court her. Is that so? Are you that confident, young Master Kong? Don't tell me you can't do it? Sandalwood Fairy squinted her eyes and smiled. Ha ha, can't do it. Other than the prodigies, no one can escape from me. Kong Lin smiled and suddenly moved. A 5-colored light flashed as he pounced at Di Shen. His speed was terrifying. Kong Lin's true form was a peacock. He had 90% of the 5 elements peacock's bloodline, and his speed was unparalleled. However, his opponent was Di Shen. He was the king of space and was also good at speed. Whoosh! Whoosh! Di Shen didn't fight with Kong Lin. Instead, he used the instant step to dodge Kong Lin's attack. The two of them chased each other, and their speed was astonishing. They kept flashing on the platform. It was hard to tell who was the winner. Second-level Spirit God. Di Shen has also reached the second-level Spirit God. Someone exclaimed as he saw Di Shen's cultivation. Eastern Wilderness finally has a decent prodigy. Although he's not as strong as the prodigies, he's one of the best among the second-tier prodigies. Someone commented. Di Shen had comprehended the space intent and had reached the second-level Spirit God. He was already at the peak of the second-tier prodigies. Perhaps even Wu Qinkong was no match for him. Roar! When the lion roared, it stomped on the ground and pounced toward Lu Ming. The golden claw radiance was like a golden heavenly saber that tore the space apart. Dragon power! With a thought, the 7 dragon powers in his body exploded. There was a purple glow on Lu Ming's body. However, there was no scale armor. Therefore, the head of the Wang family and the head of the Jiang family could not recognize Lu Ming. Lu Ming's power was even more shocking. At the same time, he punched out with the 5-colored intent. At this moment, everyone was shocked. Ming Lu wants to fight Shurdo head-on. He's overestimating himself. That's right. His combat power is indeed strong. However, there's still a big gap between him and a prodigy. It's unwise to fight him head-on. Many people initially thought that Lu Ming would learn from the arch and try his best to retreat and stall for time. As long as he waited for the battle between Xiemo and Nan Ming, or Yang Patian, and Tuobashir to emerge victorious, he would be able to enter the top 10. They didn't expect that Lu Ming would choose to fight Shurdo head-on. Wasn't it suicide to fight a prodigy head-on? 5-colored intent. He has comprehended 5 intents. On the spectator stand, the Wang and Jiang family leaders were shocked. Previously, they had seen Lu Ming comprehend 4 types of intents. That was already the highest number of intents they had seen someone comprehend. But now they actually saw someone comprehend 5 types of intents. They didn't think that Ming Lu was Lu Ming. Firstly, they had seen Lu Ming outside the Talisman Puppet sect. It was impossible for him to be in the central continent. Secondly, Lu Ming had only comprehended 4 intents in the Battle of Providence. It was too difficult for him to comprehend new intents at such a high cultivation. Chapter 1126. Boom! Lu Ming's fist and Lion Do's golden claw collided heavily. Suddenly 5-colored light and golden light burst out, forming a 6-colored light pillar that soared into the sky. Terrifying waves of air rushed out in all directions. Bang! Bang! The 2 figures retreated simultaneously, each retreating 100 meters and facing each other. It was a draw. This move was a draw. This made many people dumbfounded. This Ming Lu could actually block Lion Do's move. Although he was pushed back, he still pushed Lion Do back. Wasn't this too strong? Could it be that Ming Lu was also a giant-level Heaven's Pride? Everyone's hearts kept twitching. Since when were giant-level Heaven's Pride so worthless? Lion Do himself was also very shocked, but this aroused his fierceness even more. Die! With a loud roar, the golden flames on Lion Do's body jumped dozens of meters high. The terrifying heat seemed to be able to melt everything, causing the space to distort and even directly burn through, revealing a dark space. His aura also became more violent and more shocking. The sun god lion's bloodline in his body began to boil, as if it was about to turn into a golden sun. Peak 2nd level Spirit God. Lion Do's cultivation was peak 2nd level Spirit God. Ming Lu were both 2nd level Spirit God. I'll let you understand the difference between you and me. Lion Do said coldly, looking at Lu Ming with a very cold gaze. Just now, Lu Ming's cultivation was second-level spirit god. Who said I'm second-level spirit god? Lu Ming smiled faintly. In the next moment, boom. A violent aura rushed out from Lu Ming's body, vast and mighty. Third-level spirit god. At this moment, Lu Ming's cultivation was third-level spirit god. What? This Ming Lu's cultivation is third-level spirit god? How is this possible? Nestle, he's too strong. This guy has been hiding his strength all along. Isn't this too abnormal? The eruption of Lu Ming's cultivation caused an uproar in all directions. Lu Ming's cultivation had actually reached the terrifying third level of the spirit god realm. When he tested his bone age earlier, his age clearly hadn't reached 25 years old yet. Being able to reach the third level of the spirit god realm, before the age of 25, was too shocking and terrifying. Even some of the supremes and rulers in the spectator stands were surprised. Sacred Emperor, I never thought that there would be such a peerless genius hidden within the imperial family. Truly admirable. A ruler spoke. Xie Qitian's eyes were filled with surprise. To think that there was such a prodigy in the law enforcement army, and he hadn't noticed it before. As for 8th Prince Xie Zhen, his eyes were filled with disbelief. Never in his wildest dreams had he imagined that this Ming Lu, the lowly ant he had demoted to the law enforcement army, was actually so terrifying. If this person had wanted to kill him before, he would have died long ago. In the crowd, Shi Zheng and Shi Fang, whose cultivation had been crippled, were pale and bloodless. The eruption of Lu Ming's cultivation had also shocked the other prodigies on the platform. Yang Patian, Tuoba Shi, Underworld Child, and the other prodigies who were fighting felt Lu Ming's powerful aura, and a trace of seriousness appeared in their eyes. As for Lion Do himself, he was even more shocked. Third level of the spirit god realm? How is this possible? Lion Do roared. Lion Do, I heard that you're ranked 5th among the 5 giants of the central continent. Although you're a little weak, your appearance is not bad, similar to my little gold. I'll reluctantly take you as my mount. Lu Ming stepped forward with a wild aura. The little gold he was talking about was King Kong, the golden tiger that Lu Ming had taken down in the Battle of Providence. Everyone was shocked. This awesome commander actually wanted to take Lion Do as his mount? This was simply wishful thinking, arrogant and ignorant. You're courting death. Don't think that I can't do anything to you, just because your cultivation has reached the third level of the spirit god realm. Lion Do was furious, and his lungs were about to explode. Lion Do was destined to become an emperor in the future. But this bearded man actually wanted to take him as his mount. He deserved to die. So what if he was at the third level of the spirit god realm? It was common for Lion Do to fight above his level. The sun god Lion's blood boiled, and Lion Do seemed to have completely turned into a golden sun that suppressed Lu Ming. Boom! The true essence of the third level of the spirit god realm in his body boiled and surged like a tsunami. He activated the heaven-suppressing hell skill, coupled with the intent realm and dragon power, and blasted towards the golden sun. An earth-shattering explosion sounded, and everyone was shocked to find that the golden sun was sent flying. On the other hand, Lu Ming's body only swayed a little. Kill! Then, Lu Ming shouted and rushed towards Lion Do, launching a storm of attacks. Lion Do let out a long roar. The lion's roar shook the heavens, causing the space to ripple like water. Sanguinarum also knew the sound wave technique, but he was not even worthy of carrying Lion Do's shoes. Lu Ming punched with both fists, breaking Lion Do's sound wave technique, and the fist energy landed heavily on Lion Do's body. Dong! Dong! Lion Do's body was as hard as diamond and exuded a terrifying heat, but he still howled in pain under Lu Ming's fists. Everyone gasped. Lion Do was at a disadvantage. I forgot to tell you that I have never lost in a battle of the same level, not to mention that you are 1 level lower than me. Lu Ming's voice was full of confidence. On the other side of the platform, Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling's eyes were shining. Why do I feel that his aura is very familiar? Sandalwood Fairy mumbled. I also feel that it is very familiar. There is an invincible confidence that is very similar to Lu Shaoqing's. Jing Kongling also said. Lu Shaoqing seems to be very good at disguising himself. Could this person be Lu Shaoqing? Sandalwood Fairy seemed to have thought of something, as she covered her mouth and whispered. Jing Kongling didn't say anything, but watched the battle carefully. Endless Sun. The lion was suppressed by Lu Ming, and it felt extremely aggrieved. It roared crazily, revealing its terrifying abilities to the fullest. Lion Do was indeed very strong. He had 90% of the Sun Lion's bloodline, which was comparable to a human martial artist who had awakened a level 9 divine bloodline. His combat strength was extremely terrifying. Killing opponents who were a few levels above him was as easy as eating and drinking. If it was an ordinary second-level spirit god martial artist or demonic beast, Lu Ming could kill him with one slap. But now, Lu Ming had unleashed the true essence of a third-level spirit god, 7 dragon powers and wills. He could only gain the upper hand. It would take some effort to defeat Lion Do. Lu Ming was amazed. Lion Do was already so powerful with 90% of a divine beast's bloodline. How terrifying would it be if there was a pure-blood divine beast? A 90% bloodline was fundamentally different from a pure-blood divine beast. The gap was huge. According to ancient legends, pure-blood divine beasts had once appeared in the divine wilderness continent. Born divine beasts were invincible once they were born. Among their peers, no one could defeat them. Even a peerless genius who had awakened a level 9 divine bloodline was still far from being a match for them, and would be suppressed. It was said that a pure-blood divine beast could reach the Emperor realm with just a little bit of cultivation. Its talent was too strong. Chapter 1127. What are you shouting for? Fight! Lu Ming raised his fists and kept punching at Lion Do. Lion Do roared and used all his skills, but it was useless. He was defeated by Lu Ming's fists, which landed heavily on his body. Lion Do's huge body trembled like a drum. Its soft golden fur was beaten into a mess. In the end, it broke off and danced on the platform, causing the platform to be covered in golden light. I can't waste it. Lu Ming waved his sleeve, and kept the golden fur that fell from Lion Do's body. It was an extraordinary treasure. If it was woven into a robe, it would have a strong defensive ability that was impenetrable by water and fire. Some people in the crowd were envious. Such golden fur was a rare treasure. Roar! Lion Do roared in shame and anger. He wanted to bite Lu Ming to death. Unfortunately, he couldn't do it and was beaten back by Lu Ming. In the end, Lu Ming rode on Lion Do's body and punched him. Lion Do roared and howled in grief. He even rolled on the ground, but it was useless. He couldn't get rid of Lu Ming. Every punch of Lu Ming's was extremely powerful. It suppressed everything and kept hitting Lion Do's body. Lion Do felt that his bones were about to break and blood kept flowing out of his mouth. Demonic beasts had extremely strong bodies, especially those with 90% divine beast bloodline like him. His body was even stronger. However, he couldn't withstand Lu Ming's iron fists. Bang! In the end, Lion Do lay on the ground heavily and gasped for breath. Lion Do was defeated. That was the thought that flashed through everyone's mind. Before this battle, no one would have thought that Lion Do would be defeated by the strange commander of the law enforcement army. It was like a fantasy story. However, that was the truth. Although Lion Do was ranked last among the 5 giants of the central continent, no one dared to underestimate his strength. Those second-class geniuses could only be crushed by Lion Do. However, he was no match for the commander of the law enforcement army. How about it? Are you convinced now? Be my mount. Lu Ming stood on top of Leo and looked down at him. Roar! Lion Do roared madly, leaped into the sky, and rushed out of the platform. Even if he lost, he would drag Lu Ming down with him. Forget it, I'll let you off this time. Lu Ming's body moved and flew backward. He kicked Lion Do's, but sent him flying far away, landing outside the platform. Lion City was defeated. Lion Do let out a long roar, as if he wanted to vent the depression in his heart. After roaring a dozen times, he transformed back into his human form and went to the seat of the Lion-Tiger Hall. His face was extremely gloomy. He actually failed to enter the top 10 and was eliminated. It was mainly because he had to deal with Lu Ming, which led to his early elimination. At this moment, there were only 12 people left on the platform. Kong Lin continued to chase after the monarch god. But the monarch god used the space concept and avoided Kong Lin's attacks with all his might. With the monarch god's cultivation and the space concept's profundity, Kong Lin still couldn't catch up to the monarch god, even though he was fast. Whoosh! At this moment, Kong Lin stopped and did not continue to pursue the emperor god. Instead, he looked at Lu Ming with a grave expression. It was completely out of his expectations that Lion Do didn't defeat Lu Ming, but was defeated by Lu Ming. At this moment, the situation was in a stalemate again. Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling teamed up and stood on the side of the platform. Long Chun had been standing there since the start of the battle. Kong Lin couldn't catch up to the monarch god and was wary of Lu Ming. He was also Sandalwood Fairy's admirer, so he naturally wouldn't attack Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling. As for the monarch god, he obviously planned to use the advantage of the space concept to delay as much as possible until the others were defeated and enter the top 10. Therefore, he wouldn't attack first. Yang Patian and Tuoba Shi were still fighting fiercely. The battle between Western Desert and Southern Ming was even more intense. At this point in the battle, the difference in strength had been revealed. Unscrupulous Monk was fighting a youth covered in black flames. At this moment, the youth in black flames had transformed into his true form, which turned out to be a demonic beast. He looked almost the same as the legendary Cerberus. The youth in black flames had 90% of the Cerberus bloodline and was extremely powerful. Each of the three heads could launch a different attack. Black flames filled the air, but there wasn't the slightest bit of heat. Instead, it gave people a feeling of extreme coldness. It was as if this flame could freeze one's soul. This was the Hell Flame. The Cerberus was very strong, but Unscrupulous Monk was stronger. Unscrupulous Monk looked solemn and dignified. His body was covered in golden light, and a golden Buddha floated above his head. Rings of Buddha's light were emitted, suppressing the Cerberus. The Cerberus was completely suppressed by the golden Buddha's light, and it was in a very difficult situation. On the other side, the battle between the underworld child and the female bodhisattva was also very intense. However, the underworld child was indeed very powerful. He was called the underworld child, and was the strongest person in Southern Ming's generation. He was even stronger than the Cerberus. His underworld chi filled the sky and suppressed the female bodhisattva. However, the Buddhist sect's martial skills were very mysterious and had both offense and defense. The female bodhisattva used the bloodline fusion technique and turned into a real female Buddha. Buddha's light filled the air and formed a Buddha's wall. Although she was at a disadvantage, she was still able to withstand the attacks. So strong. Each of them is stronger than Lion City, and they are all in the third-level spirit god realm. Lu Ming's gaze swept across the battlefield, and he saw through everyone's cultivation base. The Western Desert and Southern Ming's four great geniuses were the same as Yang Patian and Tuoba Shi. They were all in the third-level spirit god realm, and their battle strength was above Lion City's. Stinky Dog, lose for me. Unscrupulous Monk became more and more courageous as the battle went on. His battle strength was unfathomable, and he completely suppressed the Cerberus. The Cerberus tried his best to resist, and at the same time, he scanned the battlefield with his spiritual consciousness. This can't go on. There are still 12 people on the battlefield. If this continues, I will be defeated by this bald donkey, and I won't even be able to enter the top 10. Those two women are weak, so I have to deal with them first. Even if I am defeated, I can still enter the top 10. The Cerberus thought quickly and made up his mind. Then, he used all his strength to block the attack of the Heartless Monk. His body flashed and turned into a ray of black light, rushing toward Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling. He was as fast as lightning, and arrived in front of them in an instant. Stop! Sandalwood Fairy reacted quickly. She stepped lightly on the ground and dense inscriptions appeared on the ground, forming a few arrays. A few shields appeared in front of her. At the same time, Jing Kongling also moved. Rivers appeared and ancient trees grew in the rivers. They stretched out their branches and blocked in front of them. Boom! Boom! There was a violent explosion. The underworld flame spread and burned the shields, rivers and ancient trees. However, after this block, Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling's follow-up attacks burst out. Chapter 1128. The two peerless beauties cooperated well, which made people's eyes light up. There was no doubt that Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling were the best of the second-class geniuses. However, their opponents were the overlords of their respective factions. Explosions rang out, and energy blasts shot out. Their attacks were all defeated by the Cerberus attacks. Get down! The three-headed hellhound roared and clawed at them, which made Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling pale. Are we going to fail? The two of them thought to themselves, feeling a little unwilling in their hearts. There were still 12 contestants left. If they could hold on a little longer, they might be able to enter the top 10. Unfortunately, they could only go this far. They sighed and decided to withdraw from the platform and admit defeat. At this moment, a burly figure suddenly appeared in front of them. He punched out and collided with the claws of the Cerberus, blocking its claw. It's him! Their eyes lit up. It was Lu Ming who stood in front of them. Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling had helped him in the ancient herb garden and prevented him from falling into Cold Blood Hall's trap. Now that he saw them in danger, he naturally would not sit back and do nothing. It's you who wants to save the damsel in distress. Then I'll send you down. The three-headed hellhound roared, and the terrible hell flame broke out. Lu Ming's spiritual spirit trembled slightly, as if his soul was about to be frozen. What a powerful hell flame! Lu Ming exclaimed in his heart, but he laughed out loud. Haha, you're more powerful than that lion. I wanted to take him as my mount, but he wouldn't agree. Although you're a little ugly, you're good enough to be my mount. While laughing, his genuine vitality burst out, and he punched a few times. In an instant, he exchanged several blows with the three-headed hellhound. Big Beard, why are you stealing my prey? Monk Wuliang appeared not far away and said with a smile. Monk, I'll take care of your prey for you, Lu Ming said. Haha, that's great. Saves me the trouble. Unscrupulous Monk chuckled. He turned his gaze and stared at Underworld Child. Sister Moonless, how about I help you? Monk Wuliang came to the place where Underworld Child and the female bodhisattva were fighting. The female bodhisattva's name was Moonless. Underworld Child looked at Monk Wuliang with some fear. Wuliang, do what you should do. I don't need your help. Moonless' face was cold. She seemed to have a bad relationship with Monk Wuliang. Not far away, Lu Ming almost tripped and fell. This unscrupulous monk's name was Unscrupulous. It was too apartment I have hair. The falling flowers are in love, but the flowing water is heartless. Sister Moonless doesn't want my help, so forget it. Unscrupulous monk mumbled. Then, his eyes darted around as he scanned his surroundings. The onlookers were speechless. Was this really a Western Desert holy monk? Why was he so? Even some rulers on the spectator stands had strange looks on their faces. LNs with Buddha. SS, with the hell monks was hell. Boom! At this moment, Lu Ming and the Cerberus were already fighting. It was an intense battle. The Cerberus was very strong. It had reached the 3rd level of the spirit god realm, and its combat strength was stronger than lions. At this moment, the Cerberus divine beast bloodline was boiling. Lu Ming didn't activate his bloodline, and was at a disadvantage. It seems like it's impossible to get 3rd place without activating my bloodline today. With that thought, a drop of blood appeared on top of Lu Ming's head. Borrow power. Whoosh. A wisp of power from the 3rd bloodline surged into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's aura skyrocketed. His hair instantly turned blood red, and his body emitted a blood-red light. Kill! As the power of the 3rd bloodline surged into his body, Lu Ming's body emitted a terrifying killing intent. He struck out with his palm towards one of the Cerberus's heads. The three-headed hellhound's head spewed out a terrifying attack, but it was defeated by Lu Ming's palm. His palm landed heavily on one of the three-headed hellhound's heads. With a loud bang, the three-headed hellhound screamed miserably, and its body retreated rapidly. That head was almost smashed by Lu Ming. Its frontal bone caved in and blood flowed profusely. Lu Xiaoqing. He's Lu Xiaoqing. At this moment, a few shocked cries came from the crowd. Sanguinarum, Wu Qinkong, and a few others who had seen Lu Ming in the Saint Mansion's secret realm exclaimed in disbelief. What? He's Lu Xiaoqing? Ming Lu is Lu Shaoqing. This awesome commander is Lu Shaoqing? Cries of surprise rang out. By now, Lu Shaoqing's name had spread far and wide. In the World Academy's Saint Mansion's secret realm, Lu Shaoqing had killed the top geniuses of the previous generation of Cold Blood Hall and Sky Martial Sword sect. He had also fought with Yang Patian and the others. Everyone had long regarded Lu Shaoqing as a magnate. They had thought that Lu Shaoqing had not come to Saint City. Could this awesome commander with a beard be Lu Shaoqing? He's Lu Shaoqing. I can't be wrong about this cultivation technique. Wu Chunkong and Sanguinarum spoke with certainty. He's really Lu Shaoqing. Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling's eyes flickered as they whispered. Ha ha ha, this stupid beard. It's so uncomfortable to have it stuck to my face. At this moment Lu Ming laughed. He grabbed the fake beard off his face and threw it away. This was equivalent to admitting that he was Lu Shaoqing. Everyone was shocked. Ming Lu was indeed Lu Shaoqing. But how did he sneak into the law enforcement army? What a brilliant technique to change one's aura. Even we were fooled. One of the sovereigns said. Just now, none of the sovereigns on the scene noticed this. Roar! 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 The Cerberus roared. Its 3 heads opened their mouths and launched terrifying attacks. One of the heads spewed out black liquid, one head spewed out black flames, and one head spewed out black lightning. Each attack was extremely terrifying and could kill a second-grade prodigy. Lu Ming clenched his fist in the air. His third bloodline wriggled and changed into a blood-red spear. Lu Ming held it in his hand. Lu Ming performed the 5 slaughter styles and swung his spear 3 times in a row. Boom! 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 The 3 blood-red spear shadows shattered the void and defeated the Cerberus attack. Then, the spear turned into a blood-red lightning, piercing through layers of space and piercing toward one of the heads. That head was the one that Lu Ming had injured previously. Poof! The spear pierced through the sunken area and pierced through the Cerberus head. Roar! Roar! The other 2 heads of the Cerberus roared crazily and launched terrifying attacks at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's left palm struck out continuously. He activated the heaven-suppressing hell skill and collided with the Cerberus attack. Chapter 1129. The Cerberus vitality was extremely tenacious. It had 3 heads. Unless all 3 heads were chopped off or one head was pierced through, it would only be severely injured but would not die. In the future, it would grow back 3 heads. At this moment, the Cerberus looked at Lu Ming in horror. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. His killing intent surged like a tide. His blood-red hair fluttered in the wind, and even his eyes were blood-red. He strode towards the Cerberus. Although the slaughter intent in the 3rd bloodline could only be borrowed and could not be merged with his 5 intents, it could still complement each other and become stronger. The blood-red spear danced, forming a blood-red storm of slaughter. The Cerberus tried his best to fight Lu Ming, but after a few moves, his second head was pierced through by Lu Ming's spear. It was even more severely injured. In the end, the Cerberus had no choice but to withdraw from the platform and admit defeat. The Cerberus was defeated. This commander, no Lu Shaoqing, had defeated Lion Do and Cerberus, 2 supreme geniuses, one after another. This caused everyone's hearts to tremble. At this moment, the battle between Underworld Child and Moonless had entered its final stage. Although Moonless was strong, she was still inferior to Underworld Child. She was at a disadvantage at the beginning, but in the end, she was completely suppressed. After Lu Ming defeated the Cerberus, she had no choice but to admit defeat and withdraw from the platform. With Moonless withdrawal, the top 10 were born. Long Chun Yang Patian, Tuoba Shi, Unscrupulous Monk, Underworld Child Kong Lin, the Arch God, Sandalwood Fairy, Jing Kongling and Lu Ming. Entering the top 10 meant that they could enter the Sacred Emperor Ancient Palace and comprehend the insights of the past Sacred Emperors. It would lay the foundation for their path to becoming an emperor. At this moment, except for Yang Patian and Tuoba Shi, the others did not make a move. They were watching each other. Brother Lu, thank you for your help. Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling bowed to Lu Ming. You're too polite. Lu Ming grinned and said generously, Brother Lu, it's up to you now. Sister Kongling and I are extremely lucky to enter the top 10. Sandalwood Fairy said coquettishly, Then, Shi and Jing Kongling withdrew from the platform. The two of them admitted defeat just like that. No one was surprised. This was within their expectations. Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling were extremely lucky to be able to enter the top 10. With their true strength, it would be very difficult for them to enter the top 10. Being able to enter the top 10 and enter the Sacred Emperor Ancient Palace was already more than enough. Withdrawing now was the wisest choice. Thus, there were only 8 people left on the platform. Boom! With a loud explosion, Yang Patian and Tuobashir both retreated after exchanging a blow. They separated into 2 sides and stopped fighting. The two of them had already exchanged hundreds of blows, but there was still no clear victor. Yang Patian, I heard that you are ranked number 3 among the top 5 young warriors of the Central Continent. Xian Yanjuan is number 2 and Long Chun is number 1. Are they really stronger than you? Tuobashir spoke, his voice like a great bell. Why don't you give it a try? Yang Patian said. Ha ha ha, you don't have to provoke me, but I really want to try. Tuobashir laughed loudly. Then he turned his gaze to Long Chun. Everyone was shocked. Was Tuobashir going to attack Long Chun? Everyone was looking forward to it. Long Chun had not attacked since the Battle of Providence. In fact, Long Chun had not attacked since the Battle of Providence. Everyone was curious. How far had Long Chun progressed? How strong was he? Would he be surpassed by the other elites? There was a glint of anticipation in Lu Ming's eyes. Long Chun gave him a strong sense of pressure. He also wanted to know how powerful Long Chun was. Bam! Tuobashir stepped forward, and the platform buzzed. He walked towards Long Chun. The aura on his body was extremely strong. The mace in his hand vibrated according to Tuobashir's emotions. His muscles slowly bulged as if they were filled with endless power. Relatively speaking, Long Chun was very ordinary. His temperament and appearance were ordinary. He was like an ordinary youth in the crowd. On the platform, everyone retreated far away and looked at Long Chun and Tuobashir. Long Chun, everyone says that you are number 1 in the Central Continent and even the Divine Region. I would like to give it a try. Tuobashir stood in front of Long Chun and said in a low voice. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Northern Plains was full of people who liked to fight. Tuobashir was even more so. Otherwise, he would not have found Yang Patian and fought with him as soon as he came to the Central Continent. Moreover, because he did not defeat Yang Patian, he fought with Yang Patian again and again. It was obvious that he liked to fight. To him, there was no opponent in Northern Plains. He had never lost among the younger generation. He needed someone stronger to give him pressure. Therefore he found Long Chun. Go ahead. Long Chun opened his mouth. This was the first time he had spoken. His tone was calm, and he was not overbearing or arrogant. However, Lu Ming could hear an aura from it. It was an aura of invincibility. It was an aura that could only be felt when one was extremely confident in oneself. Take this, Tuobashir roared. His already burly body became even more burly. A terrifying beast roar came from Tuobashir's body. The mace in his hand shone brightly. Bam! Tuobashir took a step forward and charged toward Long Chun. His mace smashed toward Long Chun with a powerful force. Tuobashir did not dare to be careless when facing Long Chun. He used his full strength from the start. Everyone looked solemn. Tuobashir's attack was too powerful. No one could ignore it. However, Long Chun remained calm. When Tuobashir's mace was about to hit him, a terrifying aura spread out from his body. One of his arms swelled rapidly, and his muscles bulged. It was twice as thick as usual. Boom! Long Chun directly threw a punch. This punch directly penetrated the space, and a long dark passageway appeared. The entire world was shaking. On the platform, Lu Ming and the rest could feel a powerful force spreading toward them. They had to circulate their energy to resist it. Dong! Long Chun's fist collided with Tuobashir's mace. There was a terrifying explosion that sounded like thunder exploding in the sky. It was a collision of strength. Then, everyone saw a figure retreating rapidly, unable to stop. Like a huge cannonball, he retreated all the way out of the platform. It was Tuobashir. He was thrown out of the platform by Long Chun's punch. His face was pale, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Hiss! The sound of people sucking in cold breaths could be heard. Tuobashir was defeated by Long Chun with a single punch. Tuobashir's strength could be seen from the battle between him and Yang Patian. His strength was absolutely terrifying. His strength was shocking and could suppress the world. His battle prowess was not weaker than Yang Patian at all. However, he was thrown out by Long Chun's punch and spat out a mouthful of blood. This kind of scene was really too shocking. The people from Zhongzhou were not too surprised. However, the people from Northern Plains, Southern Ming, Western Desert, and Eastern Wilderness were even more shocked. Chapter 1130. On the platform, Yang Patian and Kong Lin had grave expressions. Underworld Child, Unscrupulous Monk, and the Dharch God were all shocked. My hair, my Buddha! Damn his mercy! What a monster! Unscrupulous Monk chanted a strange Buddhist name. What terrifying power! There was a grave look in Lu Ming's eyes. Lu Ming could vaguely feel that Long Chen's bloodline was not to be underestimated. It was definitely a terrifying bloodline. After defeating Tuobashir, Long Chen's arm returned to normal, and he stood there calmly. He was very ordinary, but no one dared to look down on him, not even the sovereigns. As long as such a prodigy did not die, he would definitely become a sovereign in the future. He might even reach a higher level and dominate the divine wilderness. Such a prodigy was rare even since ancient times. Now there were only 7 people left on the platform. The 7 of them looked at each other. Yang Patian, let's fight! A 5-colored light flashed and Kong Lin appeared in front of Yang Patian. Among the 5 giants of the central continent, Yang Patian was ranked 3rd and Kong Lin was ranked 4th. In the Battle of Providence, Kong Lin had lost to Yang Patian by a small margin. Today he was going to win and avenge his humiliation. Then I'll defeat you again. Yang Patian was very confident. He pointed his halberd at Kong Lin, and the void shook. On the other hand, 5-colored light bloomed on Kong Lin's body. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, the 5 elements. The 5 elements peacock was born with the ability to control the 5 elements. It was extremely powerful. Of course, this kind of control was different from a martial artist comprehending 5 intents at the same time. This was because the 5 elements of the 5 elements peacock were separated, unlike Lu Ming who had merged the 5 elements. The 5 elements peacock was only blessed in controlling the 5 elements. Kong Lin had 90% of the 5 elements peacock's bloodline, and naturally inherited the talent to control the 5 elements. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 2 of them moved at the same time, and charged at each other. Bam! Bam! At this moment, Lu Ming stepped out and walked toward one of them. The Dharch God! Lu Ming walked toward the Dharch God. The Dharch God stared at Lu Ming with a grave expression. You should go down. Lu Ming said indifferently. Have I seen you before? Di Shun stared at Lu Ming. He felt that Di Shun's temperament was very similar to Lu Ming's. Really? Don't tell me there's someone as invincible as me in this world. Lu Ming grinned. His blood-red hair fluttered in the wind as boundless killing intent swept towards the Dharch God. Although your battle prowess is strong, you can't do anything to me if I want to dodge. Di Shun said. He was confident in his space will. Really? Lu Ming sneered. His blood-colored spear stabbed out like a bolt of blood-colored lightning. The space around Di Shun rippled like water. He moved his body and disappeared from where he was, reappearing 100 meters away. The concept of space is indeed wondrous, but in my eyes, it can't withstand a single blow. Lu Ming took a step forward and formed a seal with both hands. A door of light appeared, emitting a brilliant light that suppressed the monarch god. The emperor deity's expression changed drastically, because he suddenly felt like he had fallen into a quagmire and could not move. Not only him, but even space itself had been sealed. This is the 9 seals of the divine gate. An emperor suddenly stood up and exclaimed in shock. It's the 9 seals of the divine gate, the peerless martial art of the sky-sealing emperor back then. I didn't expect it to be mastered by Lu Shaoqing. Another old emperor said. More than 100,000 years ago, this peerless martial art was famous in the world. It was the peerless martial art of an emperor. But with the passing of that emperor, this peerless martial art disappeared from the world. Unexpectedly it reappeared today. The other onlookers were secretly shocked. It turned out that this was an Emperor peerless martial art. Space travel. Dishan roared and unleashed his full strength. The space around his body trembled violently as he tried to break free from Lu Ming's seal. Then add another one. Lu Ming moved his hand, and another divine gate appeared and suppressed the Emperor deity. This time, the Emperor deity's body was completely immobilized. During this period, Lu Ming did not stop cultivating the 9 seals of the divine gate. After several months of hard work, Lu Ming could already condense 2 divine gates of the 9 seals of the divine gate, greatly increasing the power of the seal. Whoosh! The blood-red spear turned into a ray of light, piercing through the void and piercing through the Emperor deity's chest. Bang! The spear shook, and the Emperor deity's body flew far away. He flew out of the platform and vomited blood. You're too weak. I won't kill you today because of the sacred Emperor, but I'll definitely kill you when I meet you in the future. Lu Ming said coldly. If it weren't for the rule that he couldn't kill his opponent today, he would have killed the Emperor deity instead of just severely injuring him. However, the Emperor deity was no longer a threat to Lu Ming. If he wanted to kill him, he would have plenty of opportunities in the future. The Emperor deity kept vomiting blood. His face was pale as he barely floated in the air. He stared at Lu Ming and roared, "We must have met before. Who are you?" Lu Ming did not look at him again. He turned around and watched the battle between Yang Patian and Kong Lin. Yang Potion's space will was much stronger than the Emperor deity's, and he had also mastered other wills. In the end, a purple gold halberd floated above his head. The 9 golden chakras were extremely dazzling. 9th grade divine level bloodline. Overlord level Sky Prides had awakened 9th grade divine level bloodlines. Is this the legendary halberd of the void? Someone exclaimed. Yang Potion's bloodline was a legendary supreme divine weapon, the halberd of the void. It could shatter the void and cut open the void. Yang Patian used the bloodline fusion and turned into the halberd of the void. His battle strength was even more terrifying. Kong Lin also turned into a 5-colored peacock. Unfortunately, he was still no match for Yang Patian. After dozens of exchanges, Kong Lin was completely suppressed and was forced to retreat. In the end, Kong Lin roared and left the platform. Kong Lin was defeated. Now there were only 5 people left on the platform. Long Chun, Underworld Child, Unscrupulous Monk, Yang Patian and Lu Ming. Each of them was an extremely powerful existence with unparalleled battle strength. The battle had reached the most critical moment. As long as 2 more people were defeated, the top 3 would be determined. Tell me, who do you think is stronger and weaker among the 5 of them? The crowd began to discuss. Long Chun is undoubtedly the strongest. He defeated Tuoba Shur, who was no weaker than Yang Patian, with 1 punch. His battle strength is unfathomable. As for the other 4, it's hard to say. I think Unscrupulous Monk, Underworld Child, and Lu Shaoqing are about the same. Yang Patian is slightly weaker. Not necessarily. Yang Patian is very strong. He might not be weaker than the other 3. I don't think he's weak either. The next battle is the pinnacle. Everyone expressed their opinions one by one. I have hair. Benefactor, why don't we exchange a few blows? Unscrupulous Monk chanted the name of Buddha. His white cassock fluttered as he walked toward Yang Patian. That's exactly what I want. Monk, you were the one who put out the fake Sacred Mansion token in the Sacred Mansion secret realm. It's time to settle the score. Chapter 1131. Benefactor misunderstood. Benefactor Lu misunderstood back then as well. Someone must have framed this little monk. This little monk is a monk with a compassionate heart. How could I do such a thing? Who slandered this little monk? Tell me, and I'll slap him to death. Unscrupulous Monk put his palms together, looking solemn. The first part of his speech was normal, but the last part made everyone look at each other. Outside the platform, Moonless Bodhisattva put her palms together, the veins on her face throbbing. Yang Potion's lips trembled as he said, "There's no need to say any more. Let me test the Venerable's methods." Without wasting any time, Yang Patian turned into a halberd and started a huge battle with Unscrupulous Monk. Without a doubt, Unscrupulous Monk's bloodline was also a grade 9 divine grade bloodline. It was a golden Buddha with a solemn appearance and a compassionate face, giving off boundless Buddhist light. Everyone was speechless. How could a weirdo like unscrupulous monk awaken such a supreme Buddhist bloodline? The battle between the two took up half of the platform. Lu Shaoqing, let's fight. A black light flashed. An underworld child appeared before Lu Ming. Fight! There was no need for words. Lu Ming spat out a single word, his battle intent soaring. As long as he defeated underworld child, unscrupulous monk and Yang Patian would fight it out, and Lu Ming would enter the top 3. His goal was to enter the top 3, and he had to enter the top 3. Boundless black underworld chi erupted from underworld child's body. Ghostly cries came from within, sounding extremely horrifying. A saber appeared in underworld child's hand. It was a black scimitar, and evil spirits appeared on it, as if they were about to crawl out. Whoosh! Underworld child charged at Lu Ming, and chopped down with his scimitar. Ghostly cries and wolf howls filled the air. Kill! Lu Ming roared, his killing intent surging. The blood-red spear turned back into a drop of blood, and floated above Lu Ming's head. Lu Ming executed the hell-suppressing heavenly art, and sent out a palm strike, clashing with underworld child's saber light. Bang! 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 Intense collisions rang out as the two of them exchanged more than a dozen blows in an instant. How cold! What a strange attack! Lu Ming felt a chill all over his body. Not only that, but even his spiritual spirit also felt cold. Underworld child's attacks not only damaged his physical body, but also his spiritual spirit. 5 colored concepts swirled about, forming a battle armor that covered his entire body. True essence flowed endlessly, blocking the underworld child's strange attack. At the same time, underworld child's every palm strike. Underworld chi, underworld childs. However, the underworld child was indeed terrifying. Even amongst the young tycoons, he was a peak existence. He had awakened a 9th-level divine bloodline. The power of his bloodline was also extremely terrifying. The bloodline secret skills and bloodline martial skills that were comprehended from the bloodline were extremely powerful. The augmentation of a level 9 divine bloodline far surpassed the augmentation of 7 dragon energies. Moreover, the netherworld child's intent realm was very terrifying. It had many different types. Although it did not have as many types as Lu Ming, its level was higher than Lu Ming's, and its power was not too far off from Lu Ming. It could be said that geniuses who had reached the level of young tycoons were very strong in all aspects, and were very well-rounded. Lu Ming's bloodline was only at the 7th level of the divine rank. On the other hand, the 3rd bloodline possessed endless power. However, Lu Ming did not dare to borrow too much of it. The more he borrowed, the stronger his murderous intent would be. Lu Ming would be controlled by the endless murderous intent. Once he lost control of himself, and was dominated by the murderous intent, he would become a walking corpse, a puppet that only knew how to kill. Of course, as Lu Ming's cultivation increased, his control over himself became stronger, and the power he could borrow also became stronger. Now, compared to when he was at the 1st level of the spirit god realm, the power he could borrow had increased by a lot. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of moves. 9 seals of the divine gate. Lu Ming formed a seal, and 2 divine gates appeared to suppress the underworld child. Hell's Gate. A large black gate appeared in front of underworld child's body. The gate shone and quickly enlarged, unexpectedly blocking the sealed gate. Death God appear. Immediately, a black figure appeared above underworld child's head. This figure was covered in a black cloak, and its appearance couldn't be seen clearly. Only 2 balls of red flames danced and burned in its eyes. This figure held a black scythe in its hand, and black flames danced on it. Death God, the legendary Death God. This was underworld child's bloodline, and without a doubt, it was at the 9th level of the divine rank. 12 Capital Heaven Battle Formation. Underworld child transformed into the Death God, and a cold and unpleasant voice sounded. The Death God moved, and actually turned into 12 figures that charged at Lu Ming. Lu Ming used the sealed gate again, but he could only seal 2 of them. The other masters still charged at Lu Ming. Boom! 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 Lu Ming punched continuously, constantly activating the hell-suppressing heavenly art and increasing its power as he fought against the 10 death gods. 10 punches landed on the 10 scythes of the death gods, forcing them back. However, Lu Ming's face turned pale. What a strange attack, what terrifying power. Lu Ming's eyes turned serious. The physical attacks of the death gods weren't very strong, but they had a strange power that could directly penetrate the body and attack the spiritual god. In other words, they were attacking the soul of the spiritual god. Underworld Child's attacks could directly penetrate the soul and destroy it, killing without leaving a trace. If not for the fact that Lu Ming had consumed the spirit-refining fruit and a large number of spirit-refining pills, causing his spirit to be very condensed and surpass others, he might not have been able to withstand it. Even so, Lu Ming's spiritual god was still trembling, and his soul felt like it was being torn apart. Kill! Underworld Child attacked again. At this time, the sealed gate had lost its effect, and 12 underworld gods charged at Lu Ming. Every single one of them seemed to be real. Lu Ming controlled the 5 intents and formed a 5-colored battle suit on his spiritual god. Then he fought with the death gods. With the 5-colored battle suit protecting his spiritual god, it was slightly better. However, his spiritual god was still under constant attack and trembling. If this continued, his spiritual god would suffer unimaginable injuries. The spiritual divinity was the foundation of a martial artist. It was where the essence, energy, and spirit resided. If the spiritual divinity was injured too severely, it would greatly affect one's future cultivation. Looks like Lu Shaoqing is going to lose. He's not a match for Underworld Child. Legend has it that Underworld Child's bloodline can directly attack one's soul and kill without leaving a trace. It's very strange and powerful. It's impossible to defend against. Speaking of which, Lu Shaoqing's bloodline is very strange. It doesn't have a chakra. I also noticed this. It's strange, but there are all kinds of strange things in the world. Maybe he cultivated some kind of secret technique that concealed his chakra. Everyone discussed as they looked at the platform. At this time, Lu Ming and Underworld Child's battle seemed to be a draw. However, those who understood Underworld Child knew that if this continued, Lu Ming would definitely be at a disadvantage and lose. On the other side, Heartless Monk had already gained the upper hand in his battle with Yang Patian. I must win this battle, no matter the price. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with determination. He couldn't lose this battle. He had to use this opportunity to take away Xian Yanqing. He had to win. Chapter 1132. Lu Shaoqing lose. Reap the Reaper. A cold and unpleasant voice could be heard. The death sickles in the hands of the 12 Grim Reapers drew a mysterious and strange arc, slashing toward Lu Ming. The 12 Reaper scythes covered all directions. Underworld Child, you're the one who will lose today. Lu Ming gave a long howl. Roar. The next moment, there was an earth-shattering roar of a dragon. 9 dragons appeared above Lu Ming's head, and a vast dragon power spread out. Lu Ming turned into a ray of light and entered the 9 dragons. 9 dragons stomping the sky. Boom, boom. The 9 dragons took 7 steps with their claws, each step stronger than the previous one. The powerful energy forced the 12 Reapers back. 9 dragons, Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. He's Lu Ming. At this moment, a few people shouted in disbelief. The Arch-God, the Patriarch of the Wang family, and the Patriarch of the Jiang family shouted in unison. They were too familiar with the 9 dragons' bloodline. There could only be one person with the 9 dragons' bloodline, and that was Lu Ming. How is that possible? How can Lu Ming be here? The Patriarch of the Wang family murmured in disbelief. We saw Lu Ming at the Talisman Puppet Sect, before we came to the Middle Continent. Did Lu Ming come to the Middle Continent through the teleportation array? But how is that possible? Isn't the Talisman Puppet Sect cut off contact with the forces of the Middle Continent? The Patriarch of the Jiang family mumbled. Even though they didn't believe it, the 9 dragons' bloodline told them that the person in front of them was Lu Ming. Lu Ming, it's him. No wonder I felt that his aura was familiar. The Arch-God shouted. His eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. He couldn't accept that the person in front of him was Lu Ming. The person who defeated him so easily was Lu Ming. Originally, he had been full of confidence. His concept of space had long since reached the 4th level, and it was becoming more and more terrifying. His cultivation had also broken through to the spirit god realm. He was fully confident that when he faced Lu Ming again, he would be able to easily defeat him and avenge the humiliation he had suffered in the battle of destiny. However, reality was cruel. Lu Ming had become even more powerful, far surpassing him, and could easily defeat him. Right now, Lu Ming was like a huge mountain in front of him. At the scene, there was another person who was also incomparably shocked, and that was Xiezhen. Lu Ming, Lu Shaoqing is Lu Ming? He roared in disbelief as a terrifying killing intent burst out from his eyes. Looking at the 9 Dragons bloodline in front of him, the scenes of the past in 9 Dragons City appeared in his mind. What? Lu Ming? What Lu Ming? I heard that the top genius of the Eastern Barren Territory is called Lu Ming. Could it be him? It can't be? Is he a genius from the Eastern Wilderness? The surrounding onlookers were in an uproar as they discussed animatedly, feeling that it was inconceivable. Just how many identities does he have? At first, he was the commander of the ancient Saint Dynasty's law enforcement army. Then he was recognized as the famous Lu Shaoqing, and now it was Lu Ming. Many people were already in disarray. I don't care who you are. Kill. The 12 Grim Reapers roared as they charged towards Lu Ming. Roar. The 9 dragons roared as a terrifying devouring power burst out from their mouths, enveloping the 12 Grim Reapers. Borrow power. With a thought, a trace of blood-red energy from the 3rd bloodline flowed into the 9 dragons' bodies, causing a layer of blood-red light to appear on the 9 dragons' bodies. Boom! Boom! The 9 dragons stepped forward and aimed at one of the Grim Reapers. After 7 steps, the Grim Reapers exploded. The divine dragon swung its tail and unleashed the power of the heaven-suppressing hell art, shattering the other Grim Reapers. The 9 dragons slithered upwards and pounced on Lu Ming and the other 2 Grim Reapers. Enveloped by the devouring power of the 9 dragons, Underworld Child felt his essence blood, true essence and bloodline power become unstable. His strength was greatly affected. On the other hand, Lu Ming unleashed his full power and used the bloodline fusion art. He was even stronger than before, and the situation was reversed. Lu Ming had the upper hand. However, Underworld Child wasn't willing to admit defeat, so he used all his strength to fight against Lu Ming. However, after a few moves, another Grim Reapers was defeated. As time passed, more Grim Reapers were defeated. After dozens of moves, only 1 Grim Reapers was left on the platform. Bam! After being struck by the 9 dragons' claws, the Grim Reapers were forced to retreat. So powerful. Everyone was shocked. After Lu Ming unleashed his bloodline, his battle strength had increased by a level and had completely surpassed Underworld Child. 9 Dragons Bloodline, one of the top 10 battle beasts. Interesting. At the side of the platform, Long Chun, who had been unmoved, muttered under his breath as his eyes flashed. However, no one heard him. Dong! Dong! The 9 dragons stepped in the air and pounced on the last Grim Reapers. Bam! Although the Grim Reapers tried their best to resist, they were already at the end of their rope. How could they stop Lu Ming? Their bodies exploded, revealing Underworld Child's true body. His face was pale, and his body flashed backward rapidly. The 9 dragons chased after him. Underworld Child's expression changed. In the end, he sighed and left the platform. Leaving the platform meant that he had admitted defeat. He knew that there was no need to continue fighting, so he could only admit defeat. Seeing that Underworld Child had admitted defeat, the 9 dragons' bodies shrunk rapidly. In the next moment, a handsome young man appeared on the platform. This was Lu Ming's original appearance. It was also the appearance that he had used when he was using the name Lu Shaoqing. At this moment, almost everyone's gaze fell on Lu Ming. Lu Ming, it's really you. The Wang family patriarch roared. His killing intent was extremely strong, and a powerful aura spread out from his body. What are you doing? A cold shout sounded in the Wang family patriarch's ears, causing his body to tremble and his aura to weaken rapidly. It was the voice of an emperor. All the emperors were gathered here. Now that the emperor had not spoken, how could he release his killing intent? Lu Ming! The Tharch clenched his fists tightly, his veins popping out. The people of the Tharch deity palace were really shocked and surprised. They did not understand why Lu Ming would appear here. Lu Ming, it's really him. I didn't expect him to be so strong. The Heavenly Corpse sects Shuejiani, Shizhan, and the Heavenly Monster Valleys Ao2 and Fengxian all sighed in disbelief. It had been almost 2 years since the last Battle of Providence. During these 2 years, they had been improving, but Lu Ming's improvement was even more shocking. He had already left them far behind. Even the top geniuses of the Divine Wilderness continent had been defeated by Lu Ming. He was already standing at the peak of the Divine Wilderness continent's younger generation. As for them, they were still too far away. Is he really Lu Ming? I didn't expect such a terrifying genius to appear in the Eastern Wilderness. Someone in the crowd said with a complicated voice. The Eastern Wilderness had always been the weakest. Previously, everyone had said that only the Tharch was decent. The other geniuses of the Eastern Wilderness were not worth mentioning. But now Lu Ming had appeared. He had suppressed everyone, and was destined to enter the top 3. So he is Lu Ming. Chapter 1133. Everyone looked at Lu Ming, and all kinds of thoughts flashed across their minds. However, most of them were amazed by Lu Ming's strength. Brother Lu, you've kept us in the dark. Outside the platform, Sandalwood Fairy spoke, as if she was rebuking him. I'm sorry, Fairy. Lu Ming had to do it. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, since he had already exposed himself, he would admit it. It seems that this is a great era. Even the Eastern Wilderness has someone like Lu Ming. Yeah, this is a golden age. We can't underestimate any region. There might be powerful elites everywhere. Someone exclaimed. Lu Ming's battle achievements were too dazzling. Previously, Lu Shaoqing's name had already shaken the central continent. Recently, he had even defeated Lu Yusen, the Tharch, Lion Du, the Cerberus, and the Underworld Child consecutively. 3 of them were supreme geniuses. His battle achievements were too glorious. Lu Ming, Lu Ming. Lu Ming from the Eastern Wilderness. He's from the Eastern Wilderness. His powerful devouring power should be the talent of the 9 dragons. Sanguinarum stared at Lu Ming. No one knew what he was thinking. Similarly, many elites of the Tianwu sword sect also had murderous intent in their eyes. However, no one dared to do so on such an occasion. Boom! Boom! At this moment, the violent roars on the platform finally pulled everyone back from their thoughts. Everyone shifted their gazes away from Lu Ming. The battle between Heartless Monk and Yang Patian had also reached its final stage. Yang Patian was no match for Heartless Monk. After 100 moves, he was defeated by Heartless Monk and blasted out of the platform. At this point, the top 3 were born. They were Long Chun, Lu Ming, and Heartless Monk. Many people were looking forward to it. Now the 3 of them were all terrifyingly strong and unfathomable. Needless to say, Long Chun had always been the most powerful elite. He was the first to become a spirit god, and was invincible among his peers. Just now, he had defeated Tuobashir with 1 punch, which shocked everyone. Heartless Monk, the Western Desert's eccentric holy monk, was extremely strong, and had defeated Yang Patian. He kept smiling and looked harmless, making people feel that he was unfathomable. Lu Ming could be considered the strongest dark horse this time. First, he had transformed into Lu Shaoqing. Then he had transformed into the commander of the law enforcement army. He had slaughtered his way here, defeating numerous experts, and even a prodigy like the Underworld Child. His strength was unfathomable. Everyone was looking forward to the clash between the 3. Everyone was looking forward to seeing if Lu Ming, or the unscrupulous monk, could force out Long Chun's true strength. That was because until now, no one knew how strong Long Chun was. My hair. Monk Wuliang chanted the name of Buddha, and looked at Lu Ming. Haha, benefactor, so your name is Lu Ming. Nice to meet you. Monk, we've met several times. Lu Ming smiled. Haha, that's right. Benefactor Lu's combat strength is profound and admirable. I didn't expect you to defeat the Underworld Child. I fought with the Underworld Child many times in the past, but I couldn't defeat him. Since you defeated him, I'm no match for you. I admit defeat. Monk Wuliang chuckled, then turned around and stepped off the platform. Monk Wuliang admitted defeat. Now, only Lu Ming and Long Chun were left. The Nine Dragons bloodline. Interesting. I'd like to see the power of the Nine Dragons bloodline. Long Chun, who had been silent all this time, finally spoke. He looked at Lu Ming with anticipation in his eyes. This kind of anticipation was like a person who had been invincible for too long and had no opponents. Now that he suddenly saw an opponent, he revealed that kind of anticipation. Yes, Long Chun had been invincible for too long. He had been invincible among the younger generation. He needed an opponent and longed for one. Without a doubt, in his heart, Lu Ming could become his opponent. This was not arrogance, but his true thoughts. I'd like to fight with you, but unfortunately, I'm not interested in the first place. After saying that, Lu Ming moved and left the platform. Lu Ming's target was the second or third place. He didn't want to take the first place at all. The first place was to marry Xian Yinlin. Lu Ming only wanted the second or third place, to make the sacred emperor agree to one of his conditions. Lu Ming actually admitted defeat. What a pity. It's really a pity. Many people sighed. They thought that they would be able to see a peak battle. But the result was unexpected. First, Monk Wuliang admitted defeat. Then, Lu Ming also admitted defeat directly. In this way, this competition ended just like that. Alright, this competition ends here. Long Chun has taken the first place, and will be engaged to my daughter, Xian Yinlin, soon. Xie Qitian stood up and announced. Besides Xie Qitian, Xian Yinlin smiled happily. On the platform, Long Chun looked at Xian Yinlin with a smile on his face. Not many people knew that Long Chun and Xian Yinlin had feelings for each other, and had been secretly dating for a long time. This competition was just a formality. Xian Yinlin and Xie Qitian knew that Long Chun would take the first place without any suspense. It was impossible for anyone to defeat Long Chun. Xie Qitian could also take this opportunity to win over many overlord forces and establish good relations with them. It was killing many birds with one stone. From now on, the Heavenly Sun Palace and the Imperial Xie family will be married. The Imperial family will be even more powerful. Someone sighed secretly. Long Chun came from the Heavenly Sun Palace, an extremely powerful overlord force. Long Chun and Xian Yinlin's marriage meant that the two forces would be strong in the future. In this generation of the Imperial family, there are many geniuses. Xian Yinjuan, Xian Yinlin, and Xie Yan are all top geniuses. Is the Imperial family going to return to glory? The Imperial family's luck is indeed strong. In the future, with the marriage with the Heavenly Sun Palace, there is a possibility that the two strongest geniuses will rise. However, other forces may not let them rise as they wish. In the dark, some people whisper to each other. The marriage between the Imperial family and the Heavenly Sun Palace had far-reaching effects. And Lu Ming, heartless monk. Xie Qitian looked at Lu Ming and heartless monk. The two of them flew onto the platform and bowed to Xie Qitian. I agree. For the second and third place, I can promise you one thing. What do you want to ask for? Lu Ming, you go first. Xie Qitian looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. It was finally time. He had been waiting for this moment. The Wang family patriarch, Jiang family patriarch, Di Shun, and the others were also nervous. If Lu Ming asked for the sacred emperor to protect him against Di, it would be troublesome. Di could do nothing against the ancient Saint dynasty. Sacred Emperor, Lu Ming has no other request. I only ask for one thing, and that is to set Nianqing free. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, Xie Qitian frowned. The others were also stunned. Chapter 1134. No one had expected Lu Ming's request to set someone free. Nianqing? Who is that? Many people were curious. This name is very similar to the two princesses. I heard that the royal family has a little princess whose bloodline is different from the royal family. Could it be that Lu Ming is talking about this little princess? Someone guessed. In the end, many people sighed. Lu Ming's request was not worth it. It was a waste of a great opportunity. However, Lu Ming's gaze was firm. In his heart, this was the most important thing. The Wang family head, Jiang family head, the arch-god, and the others heaved a sigh of relief. They were really afraid that Lu Ming would ask Xie Qitian to protect him. Haha, how foolish. The Wang family had laughed in his heart. Lu Ming, don't be delusional. Xie Nianqing is different. You want to set her free? What a joke. Also, back in Jilong City in the eastern wilderness, you were the one who repeatedly obstructed us and injured the royal family's people. How dare you say such words today? How audacious. Xiezhen got up and looked at Lu Ming coldly, berating him loudly. What? How dare you injure the royal family's people? Lu Ming, you sneaked into the enforcer troop and purposely destroyed the relationship between the royal family and the other overlords. What are your intentions? A middle-aged man stood up and said coldly. Lu Ming recognized that this man was the royal uncle, Xie Qiyu, who had appeared when Lu Ming was confronting the Sky Martial Sword Sect's elders at the Enforcer Hall. Because of Lu Ming, their relationship with the Sky Martial Sword Sect had deteriorated, forcing Xie Qiyu to appear. He was already unhappy with Lu Ming, so he naturally came out to scold him. She is indeed the little princess of the royal family. That weirdo. Xiezhen's words made everyone's heart skip a beat. But how did Lu Ming get to know the little princess? It seemed that in the eastern wasteland, the imperial family had suffered losses at the hands of Lu Ming. This Lu Ming was really a monster. Lu Ming glanced coldly at Xiezhen and Xie Qiyu before ignoring them. He faced the Saint Emperor and said, Saint Emperor, you said that as long as I get into the top 3, I can make a request of you. My request is to set Nianqing free. I can give up everything else, including entering the Saint Emperor Ancient Palace. Lu Ming's posture was ramrod straight. He was neither servile nor overbearing, and his gaze was firm. Xie Qitian frowned even more. His face turned cold as he said, Lu Ming, this won't do. You'd better change your condition. There was no room for doubt in his tone. Xie Qitian's meaning was very clear. It was impossible for him to do that. However, Lu Ming would not give up just like that. Holy Emperor, why not? Is it because Nianqing's bloodline is different from the rest of the imperial family? Could it be that only those with pure and holy blood were from the Xie clan? Those who lean towards the dark bloodline are not from the Xie clan? Please forgive me for my humble opinion. This way of thinking is too pedantic. Lu Ming's voice resounded throughout the area, silencing everyone. Almost everyone looked at Lu Ming in shock. How dare Lu Ming talk to the Saint Emperor like that? Even a fool could tell that Lu Ming was implying that the Saint Emperor was pedantic. He was really audacious. Even other emperors did not dare to speak to Xie Qitian in this manner. Lu Ming's words were simply too shocking. How dare you? Lu Ming, you lowly ant. How dare you talk to my father like that? You're courting death. Xiezhen roared. You deserve to die and your entire family should be exterminated. Xie Qiyu shouted coldly. Although his words were short, they were filled with killing intent. Xie Qitian did not speak. He was still frowning slightly. No one knew what he was thinking. Lu Ming continued to ignore Xiezhen and Xie Qiyu. He did not even look at them, as he continued to face Xie Qitian. Bloodline is just a tool for martial artists. It depends on how you use it. If you use it well, it's good. If you don't use it well, it's not good. Why do we have to look at the attribute? The key is the person using it. Lu Ming's voice was loud and clear. He was neither servile nor overbearing. He was not afraid at all as he argued. Ridiculous. Xie Nianqing has a different bloodline. That's a rebel bloodline. If she was set free, she would have turned against the imperial family. Xiezhen continued to berate. Haha, ridiculous. What is a rebel bloodline? Back then, the chaotic Sky Emperor was forced out. If the imperial family treated him equally, without humiliation or oppression, how could he betray us? Lu Ming laughed. As soon as he said this, everyone was shocked. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, a terrifying aura erupted from the imperial family. Cold killing intent shrouded Lu Ming. How dare you? You're courting death. You deserve to die. You've committed a heinous crime. Roars rang out as powerful existences were enraged. Terrifying auras filled the air, as if the world was about to be destroyed. Endless pressure pressed down on Lu Ming. Among them, there were quite a number of powerful figures at the supreme level. Boom! Lu Ming used all his strength to resist, But he was still suppressed by the pressure. His body shook violently, and he quickly retreated. A mouthful of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. The chaotic Sky Emperor was a taboo of the imperial family. Lu Ming dared to mention it on such an occasion. This was a sore spot for the imperial family. Sacred Emperor, there is an ancient saying that a monarch is not joking. Moreover, you're the Sacred Emperor. Do you want to go back on your words? Lu Ming shouted. Since he had come this far, there was no way out. Lu Ming had nothing to fear. He could only move forward bravely. When I said that I would agree to a condition, I was referring to something that I could do. Xie Qitian said. What's so difficult about my condition? Moreover, Nianqing is your daughter, your biological daughter. Did you give birth to her just to lock her up for life? Lu Ming shouted. The true essence in his body circulated crazily. The five-colored intent enveloped his body to resist the pressure from the outside. How dare you? Men, kill this man! Xiezhen shouted. His killing intent was boundless, and his face was ferocious. Back then, when he was in Nine Dragons City, he went there as the prince of the ancient sage dynasty. He should have been high and mighty, and everyone would surround him. However, in the end, Lu Ming defeated him in front of everyone and made him lose face. He had always hated Lu Ming. Even after so long, he hadn't forgotten about it. Now that he had such an opportunity, he naturally wanted to cut Lu Ming into pieces. Kill! Two guards in iron armor shouted. Terrifying auras erupted, and they were about to step out and kill Lu Ming. Everyone sighed. They thought that Lu Ming was going to die today. It was a pity that such a genius would die. Enough! At this moment, Xie Qitian said faintly. He waved his hand gently, and the two guards immediately stopped. The other members of the imperial family also restrained their auras. Lu Ming felt his body relax, and he let out a long breath. Lu Ming, I'm the emperor and I'm a man of my word. However, your condition is an important matter for the royal family. I can't agree to it so easily. How about this? Nianqing is now in the 9 underworlds demon realm, fighting for the royal family, and hunting the Demon Sha clan. If you're willing to enter the 9 underworlds demon realm, and hunt the Demon Sha clan, and when you've killed enough Demon Sha clan members and accumulated enough merits for the royal family, I'll let you leave together. Xie Qitian said after pondering for a while. Chapter 1135. Sacred Emperor, are you serious? Lu Ming stared at Xie Qitian. I'm a man of my word. Everyone who enters the abyss of demons realm and kills the Demon Sha clan will get points. As long as you can get 10,000 points, I promise to let the two of you go and never interfere with Nianqing's affairs again. Xie Qitian said. Okay, I promise. Lu Ming said. In front of so many emperors and people, Lu Ming believed that Xie Qitian would not go back on his word. Lu Ming also knew that it would not be easy to kill the Demon Sha clan in the abyss of demons realm, but there was still hope. Moreover, his identity had been exposed and Di would know soon. In the abyss of demons realm, not only could he find Xie Nianqing, but he could also avoid Di temporarily. For Lu Ming, it was killing two birds with one stone. At this time, Xie Zhen, Xie Qiyu, and the others' eyes flickered, but they did not say anything. No one knew what they were thinking. Okay, it's settled. When the banquet is over, I'll ask someone to take you to the abyss of demons realm. Xie Qitian said. Then Xie Qitian asked Heartless Monk about his conditions. Heartless Monk was smart, and said not to mention it for the time being. Okay, 3 days later, the top 10 can enter the Sacred Emperor Ancient Palace to comprehend, Xie Qitian announced. Then the banquet continued. The banquet lasted for half a day before it ended. The overlords began to leave one by one. The Wang family patriarch, Jiang family patriarch, Di Shun, and the others also left in a hurry. They had to rush back to the eastern wilderness to report to Di about Lu Ming. It was too strange. Lu Ming was still in the Talisman Puppet sect. So why did he suddenly appear in the central continent and enter the abyss of demons realm? They had to let Di know as soon as possible. Soon the crowd dispersed. Lu Ming, come with us. 2 guards in iron armor came to Lu Ming and said with a cold expression. Lu Ming swept his gaze across the two of them and discovered that he could not see through their cultivation level. It was unfathomable. To the abyss of Demon's realm? Lu Ming said. That's right. The sacred emperor ordered us to bring you to the 9 underworlds devil domain. The entrance to the 9 underworlds devil domain is to the north of the holy city. One of the armored guards said. Please. Lu Ming nodded. The 2 armored guards took the lead, and Lu Ming followed behind them, heading north of the holy city. Not long after, they arrived at the north side of the Saint City. Then, they passed through layers upon layers of barriers and arrived before a giant door made of light. Along the way, Lu Ming calculated that they had passed through a total of 18 checkpoints. Each checkpoint had an extremely powerful formation and was guarded by a powerful expert. From this, it could be seen that the royal family placed great importance on this place. This is the entrance to the demon realm of the 9 underworlds. Take this jade pendant. As long as you kill a member of the demon temple in the demon realm of the 9 underworlds, the jade pendant will sense it, and you will get the corresponding points. But in the depths of his eyes, there was a trace of a sneer. Thank you. Lu Ming took the jade token and put it away. Okay, let's go in. One of the guards said. Lu Ming nodded, then turned around and stepped into the light door, disappearing from sight. He wants to get 10,000 points in the demon realm of the 9 underworlds? What a fool's dream. He'll stay there for the rest of his life. The Holy Emperor's move is brilliant. The 2 guards sneered, then turned around and strode away. At this moment, Xiezhen and Xieqiyu were sitting opposite each other in a hall in the royal palace. Brother, your move is brilliant. Not only did you shut Lu Ming's mouth, but you also fulfilled your promise. I'm really impressed. Xieqiyu took a sip of spiritual tea and smiled faintly. It's almost impossible to get 10,000 points by killing a member of the demon temple in the demon realm of the 9 underworlds. But I still feel uneasy. Xiezhen frowned and said, Xian Yanqing, that bitch is too talented. He's not weaker than the overlord level Heaven's Pride. Moreover, he awakened a dark bloodline. He's like a fish in water in the demon realm of the 9 underworlds. He can still cultivate and improve his cultivation. As for Lu Ming, he is even more shocking. More than 3 years ago, he was only at the Spirit Sea realm, and his cultivation level was lower than mine. However, in just slightly more than 3 years, his cultivation level has soared to the 3rd level of the Spirit God realm. His combat ability is even more shocking. He has defeated many giants and supreme talents consecutively. In my opinion, apart from Long Chen, no one can suppress him. I can't rest easy as long as such a person is alive. You want to kill him in the demon realm of the 9 underworlds? Xie Tianyu said. Yes, but although Lu Ming's cultivation is only at the 3rd level Spirit God realm, his battle strength is too terrifying. I'm afraid that ordinary 6th level Spirit God realm experts are no match for him. To kill him, we'll have to send 7th level Spirit God realm experts, or even stronger existences. But with my authority, I can't mobilize such powerful existences, so I need Uncle's help. Xiezhen said. Yes, you're right. Lu Ming can't be left alive. Moreover, we'll take this opportunity to kill that freak Xian Yanqing as well. Xieqiyu's face revealed a cold smile. Thank you, Uncle. Xiezhen was overjoyed and thanked him. After Lu Ming stepped into the light door, he stepped out of another light door in the next moment. Where is this? Lu Ming glanced around and found that he had arrived at another place. This place seemed to be a city. Above the city, there was a huge light screen that enveloped the entire city, and the scene outside the light screen couldn't be seen clearly. Is this the demon realm of the 9 underworlds? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Another person has come. A voice came from the side, and Lu Ming saw a few burly men in armor. Brothers, is this the demon realm of the 9 underworlds? Lu Ming stepped forward and asked. Yes, this is the demon realm of the 9 underworlds. We're the martial artists of the imperial family, and we're responsible for guarding this city to prevent the Masha clan from attacking the exit. Why are you here? One of the burly men explained, and then asked. I'm here to kill the Masha clan and earn points. Lu Ming said, but he didn't tell the truth. Another exile. Hearing Lu Ming's words, the burly men's faces turned cold, and they sneered. Exile. Lu Ming frowned. All right, you'll stay in this city for the night. The moon is in the sky now, and the demon qi is at its thickest. In order to prevent the demon qi from seeping in, the city is now closed and won't be opened. You can leave the city tomorrow. One of the burly men in armor waved his hand casually. Lu Ming nodded and didn't ask any more questions. He strode out of the place. Soon, Lu Ming came to a street and found that there were quite a lot of people here. However, each of them had a strong aura, and they were all experts. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, he found that there were many existences in the spiritual god realm. These people were all sent by the imperial family to guard this place. Lu Ming walked around and asked around. As expected, he couldn't leave the city now and had to wait until the next day. Lu Ming found a quiet place, sat cross-legged and waited quietly. Chapter 1136. As soon as the four old men appeared, they exuded a terrifying aura, causing the expressions of the burly men to change drastically. Gentlemen, where did you come from? One of the burly men asked. One of the old men waved his hand, and a token appeared in his hand. When the burly men saw the token, they immediately straightened their bodies and showed respect on their faces. So it's you, sirs. May I know what brings you here? One of the burly men asked cautiously. Did a young man come in earlier? The old man with the token asked. Are you talking about that exiled person? He came in about an hour ago. He should be somewhere in the city now. The burly man in the armor replied respectfully. Somewhere in the city. The four old men nodded and left. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, it was the second day. Lu Ming flew toward the city wall. Those who want to leave the city, hurry up. At the city gate, a burly man in armor shouted. At this time, the city gate had opened, and only one person could pass through at a time. From the opening, black mist filled the air. Lu Ming's body flashed, and he rushed out of the opening. Is this the 9 underworlds demon realm? After rushing out of the city, the light suddenly dimmed. The light between heaven and earth was very dim, and there was a black mist floating between heaven and earth. The entire land was dark. Looking up, there was a sun in the sky, but the sun was also dark, and it looked very depressing. This place is filled with dense demon qi, but there is no spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Lu Ming sensed that there was no spiritual qi of heaven and earth in this place, and it was filled with dense demon qi. For ordinary warriors, it would be very difficult to cultivate here. Because there was no spiritual qi of heaven and earth, they could only absorb demon qi and refine it. However, the difficulty of refining demon qi was dozens or hundreds of times more difficult than refining spiritual qi of heaven and earth. But for Lu Ming, it did not matter. He had the 9-dragon bloodline and could devour and refine everything. He could also quickly refine demon qi. Little Qing, where are you? Lu Ming looked into the distance, and his body moved, turning into a beam of light and rushing forward. Not long after Lu Ming disappeared, 4 old men rushed out of the city behind him. Their expressions changed, and they chased after Lu Ming. Lu Ming went forward, looking at the 9 underworlds demon realm. The 9 underworlds devil realm was vast and boundless, with mountains, rivers, and rivers. It was said that it was an extremely large mid-sized plane that had automatically evolved into a boundless world. There were also countless creatures living here, all types of plants, too many to count. Moreover, most of the plants were black, or dark red, and so on. There were also powerful demonic beasts here. However, these demonic beasts were born by absorbing demonic qi. They were called demonic beasts. Their intelligence was on the lower side, but they were very strong. Of course, the ruler of the 9 underworlds demon realm was the Masha clan. It was said that the Masha clan used to be a big clan in the Divine Wilderness continent in ancient times, and they occupied a large territory. Later, they were defeated by the human race and fled to the 9 underworlds demon realm. But they were still very strong, and they often attacked the ancient Saint Dynasty Xia family. Therefore, the imperial family sent a large army to guard the entrance. Moreover, the Masha clan was very cunning, and they could fly in the 9 underworlds demon realm. It was difficult to kill them. Although the imperial family Xie family would send experts to kill them every once in a while, it was impossible to kill all of them, and they were a big problem for the imperial family. There was also a rumor that the reason why Xiao Wan, the Emperor of Chaos, could start a rebellion and hurt the imperial family Xie family was because of the help of the Masha clan. Whoosh! Suddenly, a beam of black light shot out from a mountain peak below. It was moving at an alarming speed, aiming for Lu Ming. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He stretched out 2 fingers and accurately flicked the black light away. This is the Masha clan? Lu Ming looked at the creature that had attacked him. It was a short humanoid creature that was 2 heads shorter than Lu Ming. This creature was covered in black hair, and there was a pair of fleshy wings on its back. On its wings, there were sharp black bone spikes. The bone spikes that had stabbed at him just now were the same kind of bone spikes. Moreover, this creature had a mouth full of fangs, and its appearance was incomparably hideous. It was like the legendary Azura. This was the Masha clan. Human kill, the Masha clan roared. In his hand, there was a black bone spike. With a flap of his fleshy wings, he rushed towards Lu Ming at an extremely fast speed. The bone spike in his hand was like a sharp sword, stabbing towards Lu Ming. This Masha clan had the battle power of a human martial arts practitioner at the 5th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Lu Ming waved his hand, and a spear light appeared. With a flash, it flew out like a bolt of lightning, killing this Masha clan member. Then, a jade token appeared in Lu Ming's hand. However, there was no reaction from the jade token. Didn't they say that after killing the Masha clan member, the jade token would give the corresponding points? Why is there no reaction? Lu Ming frowned slightly. Then, he flew closer to the corpse of the Masha clan member, but there was still no reaction. There were no points at all. What's going on? Lu Ming's frown deepened. Not good, Lu Ming. There are a few powerful beings flying towards us at an extremely fast speed. They are coming from the direction of the city that you came from just now. Dandan, who had just arrived at the 9 underworlds devil realm, suddenly cried out. How many powerful beings are there? Could they be here to kill the Masha clan as well? Lu Ming muttered as he looked in that direction. Xiao, 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 xiao. 4 rainbow lights streaked across the sky and flew towards them at an extremely fast speed, bringing with them a rolling sound of explosions. When they saw Lu Ming, their eyes lit up, and cold murderous intent spread out. There's murderous intent. They are here to kill me. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and he retreated without hesitation. Lu Ming Dai, an old man in a black robe roared. His voice shook the heavens. Behind him, a silver combat sword was unsheathed. A ray of silver sword gleam lit up the dark Juyo demon realm, splitting the entire sky. The terrifying sword aura instantly crossed a distance of hundreds of miles, and slashed toward Lu Ming. Not good. It's the 8th level spirit god realm. Lu Ming's heart trembled. The power of the sword was too terrifying, as if it could destroy everything. Moreover, it was so fast that Lu Ming didn't have time to perform the bloodline fusion. He could only unleash the power of the 9 dragons' bloodline and merge it with his body. At the same time, his glabella lit up, and the small red pagoda appeared. It enlarged rapidly and blocked in front of Lu Ming. Clang! The silver sword light slashed the red pagoda, and the terrifying power sent it flying, crashing into Lu Ming. Lu Ming and the small red pagoda flew back like 2 cannonballs. Boom! Lu Ming crashed into a mountain and broke the peak of the mountain. His body flew back a few miles before he stopped in the air and spat out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 1137. Swoosh! Swoosh! The sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. The 4 elders had already appeared around Lu Ming, surrounding him tightly. Their terrifying aura was released without any concealment, forming a terrifying pressure that pressed down on him. 2 7th level, and 2 8th level spirit god realm experts. After sensing briefly, Lu Ming knew the abilities of the 4 of them. The Imperial Xie family is really despicable. Lu Ming wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and revealed a mocking smile. There wouldn't be a second force other than the Imperial Xie family that could enter this place to kill him. He didn't need to guess to know that these 4 people must have been sent by the imperial Xie family. Lu Ming really didn't expect that the imperial Xie family, as the imperial family of the ancient Saint dynasty, and an ancient family, with a heritage of 1,000,000 years, would be so despicable. They promised him in front of others, but secretly sent people to kill him. Moreover, they really thought highly of him. They actually sent 2 7th level and 2 8th level spirit god realm experts. These people belonged to the advanced level of the spirit god realm. Even in the various forces, they were the top experts. Those who could cultivate to the 7th level of the spirit god realm and above weren't weak. Generally, those with 2nd and 3rd level spirit god realm bloodlines wouldn't be able to cultivate to the 7th level of the spirit god realm. Those who could reach the 7th level of the spirit god realm and above would awaken bloodlines that were at least 4th level of the spirit god realm. There was no doubt that these people had mastered a spirit god realm martial skill and were very powerful. Even with Lu Ming's strength, defeating or even killing a 6th level spirit god realm expert wouldn't be a problem. However, he definitely wouldn't be able to defeat a 7th level spirit god realm expert. Not to mention an 8th level spirit god realm existence. Lu Ming wouldn't stand a chance against an 8th level spirit god realm expert. This time, it could be said that he must be killed. Impudent. You can't judge the imperial family. You want to save a freak like Xian Yanqing? You must be dreaming. A 7th level spirit god realm old man berated. A saber floated above his head, and a terrifying saber intent bloomed in the air. Haha, you act one way in front of others. How can you be a member of the imperial family if you do such a despicable thing? No wonder the Xie family declined. Lu Ming sneered. How dare you? You're courting death. Everyone hold the line for me. Leave this brat to me. I will definitely kill him today. The old man with the floating saber shouted with killing intent. All right, I'll leave him to you. The old man at the 8th level of the spirit god realm that attacked earlier nodded, and then he retreated with the other 2 to form an enormous encirclement. They surrounded Lu Ming and Chun Shi at the center and blocked off all paths of retreat for Lu Ming. Clang! The battle saber vibrated as it was held in the elder's hand. His eyes were filled with excitement as he smiled malevolently. Lu Ming, remember, the one who killed you is Xie Chu. Chi. The saber slashed down, and the saber power filled the air. A vast and terrifying saber light violently slashed toward Lu Ming. Above Lu Ming's head, the 3rd bloodline appeared. A wisp of power entered Lu Ming's body, turning Lu Ming's long black hair blood red. At the same time, the 3rd bloodline wriggled and turned into a long spear. Swoosh! Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand and swept it out, colliding with the saber light. Bang! A terrifying explosion spread out 1,000 miles. Lu Ming's body shook violently, and his body involuntarily retreated repeatedly. The battle strength of a 7th level spirit god is indeed terrifying. Lu Ming was secretly alarmed in his heart. The battle strength of a 7th level spirit god had already completely surpassed Lu Ming's. Die. So what if you're a heaven's pride whose name shakes the world? So what if you're a rare heaven's pride? You're still going to die at my hands. Xie Chu let out a long howl, and his saber intent became even stronger as he charged toward Lu Ming. 9 dragons appeared above Lu Ming's head. Lu Ming transformed into 9 dragons, and with the support of the 3rd bloodline's power, he unleashed a violent attack and fought with Xie Chu. Xie Chu also executed bloodline fusion. Xie Chu's bloodline was a 5th level divine rank battle saber. Under his 7th level spirit god cultivation, it was incomparably powerful, and Lu Ming was completely suppressed. In the blink of an eye, they exchanged a few tens of moves, and a few saber injuries appeared on the 9 dragons' bodies. This kid's battle strength is truly shocking. He's actually able to fight Xie Chu for so long with a cultivation at the 3rd level of the spirit god realm. It's simply inconceivable. An old man at the side spoke. Even if he was about to kill Lu Ming, he couldn't help but exclaim with admiration. In the spirit god realm, the further one advanced, the more difficult it was to surmount a level to battle. Being able to exchange so many moves with a 7th level spirit god expert with a cultivation at the 3rd level of the spirit god realm was truly too shocking. and simply inconceivable. They'd lived for a few thousand years, yet it was the first time they'd seen it. This kid's natural talent is truly heaven-defying. Besides Long Chen, there's really no one on the Divine Desolation continent that's a match for him. In the future, he'll become a terrifying and invincible emperor. Unfortunately, this kid is too lawless, and only death awaits him. Another old man spoke with an extremely cold and indifferent voice, but his eyes contained admiration. "Kid, die!" Xie Chu roared loudly, and his combat strength grew even more violent. After exchanging a few tens of moves, he was actually still unable to kill Lu Ming, and it caused him to feel extremely embarrassed. Moreover, the killing intent in his heart grew stronger and stronger. "Old fellow, you've cultivated for a few thousands of years, yet you only possess this little bit of combat strength. If I were you, I would have killed myself a long time ago." Lu Ming ridiculed while swiftly thinking of a way to escape in his heart. The surroundings were locked down by 3 experts, and it was too difficult to break out of the encirclement, mainly because 8th-level spirit gods were too strong. If there were 4 7th-level spirit gods, then Lu Ming was fully confident in his ability to break out of the encirclement with the 9 dragons' heaven-trampling steps. However, there were 2 8th-level spirit gods, so Lu Ming's chances of breaking through were extremely small. "Kid, do you think you're a genius? A dead genius isn't a genius. Let me tell you, after I kill you today, I'll go kill that bastard Xian Yinqing. All of you can dream of leaving this place." Xie Chu shouted coldly as his attacks grew even more violent. Bang! Killing intent surged from Lu Ming, and his eyes were blood red as he roared furiously. "All of you still want to kill little Qing? That despicable bastard should have died long ago. This time, we'll get rid of him once and for all." Xie Chu sneered. "All of you should die. Die! Kill! Kill! Kill!" Lu Ming let out a furious roar. His 3rd bloodline vibrated, and strands of energy surged towards Lu Ming, filling Lu Ming's heart with endless killing intent. Initially, when Xie Chu said that they were going to kill Xian Yinqing, Lu Ming's murderous intent was already terrifyingly intense. In addition, he had borrowed more power from the 3rd bloodline. There was only murderous intent in his mind. Endless murderous intent. "Kid, stop. You can't borrow too much power from your 3rd bloodline. Otherwise, you'll become a puppet that only knows how to kill." Dandan called out beside Lu Ming, allowing Lu Ming to barely retain a trace of clarity. At this moment, Lu Ming's body seemed to be filled with endless power. The 9 dragons emitted a dense blood-red color. Whoosh! The 9 dragons clawed at Xie Chu. "Oh no, this power!" Xie Chu's pupils suddenly widened, revealing a look of horror. In an instant, he felt that Lu Ming's power had increased exponentially, especially the killing intent. It was extremely terrifying, as if it wanted to kill all living things in the world. It made his heart turn cold and tremble. The 9 dragons clawed at him, and he felt as if he was about to suffocate. Chapter 1138. Bang! Xie Chu's body was directly blasted flying, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. He was enveloped by boundless killing intent, and couldn't unleash his full strength at all. Coupled with Lu Ming borrowing even more power from the 3rd bloodline, he directly injured Xie Chu with an all-out attack. Subsequently, the 9 dragons roared and directly collapsed. But amidst the light of the 9 dragons' collapse, an enormous steel rushed out and emitted a dazzling radiance. Prison-suppressing steel bloodline. As soon as the prison-suppressing steel bloodline appeared, it rapidly enlarged and became as large as a mountain. The prison-suppressing steel was similarly suffused with a dense bloody light, as it pressed down on Xie Chu with a powerful momentum. "Help!" Feeling the terrifying killing intent and aura on the prison-suppressing steel that suppressed everything, Xie Chu cried out in horror. "Stop!" The other 3 experts at the side shouted and charged towards Lu Ming. But Lu Ming ignored them and continued to press down on Xie Chu. "No!" Xie Chu roared and resisted with all his might. But at this moment, he was injured and his combat strength was greatly reduced. How could he resist? Puff! As the prison-suppressing steel pressed down, Xie Chu spat out large mouthfuls of blood as the blood vessels all over his body ruptured. In the next moment, his entire body exploded with a bang. Xie Chu, a 7th-level spirit god expert, was killed by Lu Ming on the spot. Bang! 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 At this moment, the other 3 attacks blasted onto the prison-suppressing steel at the same time, causing it to be sent flying. It emitted a violent vibration and almost collapsed. Kill, kill, kill. The prison-suppressing steel shook as Lu Ming's cold and emotionless voice continuously sounded out from it. This kid can't be allowed to live. An 8th-level spirit god old man spoke, and was extremely shocked in his heart. A 3rd-level spirit god martial artist was actually able to kill a 7th-level spirit god expert. It was truly too shocking, and he had never heard of it before. He felt a chill in his heart, and was filled with the desire to kill Lu Ming. 2 8th-level spirit gods, and 1 7th-level spirit god released a terrifying aura that firmly locked onto Lu Ming. Today all of you will die. Lu Ming's cold voice rang out. He wanted to borrow more power from his 3rd bloodline to kill all of these people. Lu Ming, you can't continue borrowing the power of your bloodline. Otherwise, you won't be able to maintain your consciousness. Dandan shouted. Kill. We must kill these people. Lu Ming shouted. At this moment, there was only a trace of clarity left in his mind. It was as if he would be swallowed up and drowned by the endless killing intent at any moment. However, it was obviously not enough to kill an 8th-layer spirit god, and he needed to borrow even more strength. However, once he borrowed even more strength, Lu Ming would find it difficult to maintain the tranquility in his heart, and he would definitely be devoured by the boundless killing intent. But at this point, was there any other way? Lu Ming could only go all out. Fine, fine, I'll go all out this time. Brat, there's no need to continue borrowing power. Dandan let out a long sigh and flew away from Lu Ming's side towards the 3 experts. You 3 brats, if you can witness my true power today, you can die without regrets. Dandan said. At this moment his body was emitting a dazzling light, and a terrifying aura was emitted from Dandan's body. This aura was high and mighty, as if he was the ruler of the world, overlooking the countless lives. It was like he was the world, and the world was him. In the dazzling light, Dandan's body grew at a terrifying speed. In the end, he turned into a divine turtle that was as tall as the sky, and even bigger than a 10,000-foot-tall mountain. This is... The 3 old men turned pale with fright, as they felt a fatal threat from the giant divine turtle. Die. A voice came out of the giant divine turtle's mouth. The giant turtle clawed at the 7th-layer spirit god expert. The 7th-layer spirit god expert wanted to dodge, but he realized that he couldn't move his body. He was imprisoned there, as if he was locked by a world. No! He roared as he saw the giant claw coming down, and his body exploded. Not good run. The remaining 2 8th-layer spirit god experts roared in horror. They wanted to escape, but their bodies seemed to have sunk into a quagmire, and it was extremely difficult to move. Kill. The giant turtle spat out the word kill, and 2 rays of light shot out from its mouth, piercing through the 2 8th-layer spirit god experts' foreheads and killing them. 2 8th-level spirit god realm experts had died just like that. Even though Lu Ming was filled with endless killing intent, he was still dumbfounded. After killing the 3 experts, the giant turtle shrunk rapidly and turned back into a little turtle. It lay in the air weakly and shouted, "What a loss, what a loss! I've been accumulating energy for so long, and it's almost gone in an instant. Lu Ming, you must accompany me, accompany me." Dandan shouted and floated towards Lu Ming weakly. Let's go. Lu Ming's mind still had a trace of clarity. He waved his hand and put Dandan and the 2 8th-layer spirit god experts' corpses into the mountain and river diagram. His body moved, and he left this place. Such a big commotion just now would definitely alarm the experts in the city. He had to leave as soon as possible. Lu Ming turned into a ray of blood-red light and crossed the boundless earth. Soon, he appeared a million miles away. He found a secret place and entered the mountain and river diagram. Once he entered the mountain and river diagram, Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the Enlightenment ancient tree. He closed his eyes and did his best to resist the endless killing intent. The endless killing intent seemed to be able to drown Lu Ming at any time and turn Lu Ming into a killing machine. The blood-red light on his body flickered. Slowly, the blood-red light faded and returned to the third bloodline. He sat there for half a month. Half a month later, the power of the third bloodline was completely withdrawn into the third bloodline, and Lu Ming withdrew it to his spine. At the same time, he dispelled the endless killing intent in his heart. At this time, Lu Ming opened his eyes. There was no longer any killing intent in his eyes, and they were clear and bright. Huff! Lu Ming let out a long breath. This time it was really close. The killing intent in the third bloodline had almost devoured his mind. The third bloodline was a double-edged sword. He had to be cautious when using it. If his cultivation was not high enough, and he borrowed too much power, he would be drowned in the endless killing intent. This time, fortunately, Dandan made a move at the end. Otherwise, he would have to borrow even more power. In that case, Lu Ming would very likely be drowned by the endless killing intent and become a killing puppet. At the thought of Dandan, Lu Ming looked to the side and happened to see Dandan lying there, chewing on a stalk of spirit medicine in her mouth. She looked weak. Seeing that Lu Ming had woken up, Dandan jumped on Lu Ming's shoulder and shouted, "Lu Ming, this time I lost too much. My vitality is greatly damaged. You have to compensate me for the spiritual herbs, or I'll never let you off." "Okay, I'll give you any spiritual herbs that I don't need in the future." Lu Ming smiled and waved his hand, and a pile of spiritual herbs appeared. Dandan's eyes lit up. It swallowed all the spiritual herbs in one gulp, and left them to eat slowly. "Boy, at least you have some conscience." Chapter 1139. It's indeed powerful. This time, Lu Ming was full of heartfelt admiration. Lu Ming was shocked that Dandan could turn into such a terrifying giant tortoise and kill an 8th-layer spirit god in an instant. "Don't make a fuss. Let me tell you, if it weren't for the fact that my strength is far from recovered, I would be much stronger than that. I'm the world tortoise, the leader of the top 10 battle beasts. If I were at my peak and transformed into my true form, I would be as big as the world. Not to mention a mere 8th-layer spirit god. Even a martial emperor would be killed by me." Dandan was smug. He felt comfortable all over at the sight of Lu Ming's impressed expression. "Could it be that you surpassed the martial emperor realm at your peak?" Lu Ming asked curiously. Lu Ming naturally believed that Dandan was a super expert who had been reborn. Otherwise, it would be impossible for it to have such means. "Nonsense. Which one of the top 10 battle beasts isn't an invincible existence? Martial emperors are nothing. Take your 9 dragons for example. If they were at their peak, they would be able to devour the sun and moon with a single gulp. What martial emperors? They would be able to devour everything in one gulp." Dandan had an invincible confidence. It then sighed and said, "I don't know if any of the top 10 battle beasts survived except for me." The battleback then sighed. In the end, Dandan let out a long sigh. Lu Ming pricked up his ears and listened carefully. Now with Dandan's recovery, his memory seemed to have recovered a lot. He might even be able to hear some unknown secrets from him. Dandan glanced at Lu Ming and said, "Sigh, I'm too weak. I need a good rest." After saying this, it ran away and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming was speechless. He then moved and appeared on another mountain. The corpses of the 2 8th-layer Spirit God Realm elders were still lying there. The corpses of Spirit God Realm experts would not rot even after a few years or decades. Unfortunately, the true qi and blood qi have already dissipated. Lu Ming sensed it and sighed, feeling that it was a bit of a waste. However, the blood essence should still be there. The blood essence of an expert at the 8th level of the Spirit God Realm probably won't disperse even after a year has passed. With a thought, Lu Ming activated his 9 dragons bloodline and unleashed his devouring power. A total of 18 pearl-like drops of blood essence flew out and were devoured by the 9 dragons. Lu Ming sat down cross-legged and began to refine them. The blood essence and blood essence energy of 2 8th-level spirit god martial artists were shockingly dense. Lu Ming started to refine them with all his might. Around the 9 dragons bloodline, 7 golden chakras shone dazzlingly. As the power of the essence blood continued to be refined and integrated, the 7 golden chakras shone brighter and brighter. After a short while with a hum, another pale golden chakra emerged. The 8th golden chakra. His 9 dragons bloodline improved by another level, becoming a rank 8 divine bloodline. The 9 dragons bloodline let out a long roar as its body rapidly enlarged and lengthened. It had doubled in size and looked even more majestic. Withdraw! With a thought, Lu Ming had the 9 dragons bloodline shrink rapidly, turning into a ray of blood light and entering Lu Ming's spine. As expected, there's an extra dragon force. Wait, this dragon force is so powerful. Lu Ming's eyes lit up when he sensed it slightly. The upgrade of the 9 dragons bloodline also gave birth to an extra dragon force. However, Lu Ming felt that the 8th dragon force was so powerful that it was comparable to the previous 7 dragon forces combined. In fact, before this, Lu Ming had already discovered that every dragon force would be stronger than the previous one. However, the extent of the increase was very limited. It would not be too exaggerated. However, the 8th dragon force was much stronger than the 7th dragon force. A rank 8 divine bloodline is indeed extraordinary. No wonder only those who have awakened a rank 8 divine bloodline can be called second-class geniuses in the central continent. A rank 7 divine bloodline is much weaker than a rank 8 divine bloodline. Lu Ming pondered, and a smile appeared on his face. The stronger the dragon force was, the stronger his battle strength would be when he unleashed it. Lu Ming was looking forward to seeing what would happen when the 9 dragons bloodline reached the highest rank, the rank 9 divine bloodline. How strong would the dragon force be? There was a huge difference between a rank 8 divine bloodline and a rank 9 divine bloodline. It could be seen by looking at the difference between a tycoon-level genius and a second-class genius. If both the 9 dragons bloodline and the prison-suppressing steel bloodline reached rank 9 divine bloodline, how strong would Lu Ming's battle strength be? If Lu Ming unleashed all of his dragon force now, he would definitely have an easier time and win against other tycoon-level geniuses, such as the Underworld Child and the Cerberus. Then, Lu Ming put away the storage rings of the 2 old men. With a wave of his hand, flames spread out and turned the bodies of the 2 old men into ashes. Who sent people to kill me? Lu Ming pondered with a frown. At first, he thought it was Xie Qitian who sent people to kill him. But later, those people said that they wanted to kill Xie Nianqing after killing him. This made Lu Ming speculate that it shouldn't be Xie Qitian. If Xie Qitian wanted to kill Xie Nianqing, he would have done it long ago. Why wait until now? Lu Ming guessed that it was someone else who sent people. Could it be Xie Zhen? But does Xie Zhen have such great power to mobilize an 8th-level spirit god expert? Lu Ming pondered. Xie Qitian had more than a dozen princes under him. Xie Qitian's talent was very ordinary, so he might not have such great power. There should be someone helping Xie Zhen. Could it be Xie Qiyu? Because these 2 people wanted Lu Ming dead the most. At the same time, Xie Zhen had sent people to assassinate Xie Nianqing. Therefore, he was the most likely. Xie Zhen. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with murderous intent. This person was someone that Lu Ming must kill. After pondering for a while, Lu Ming came out of the mountain-river diagram and continued to head towards the depths of the 9 underworlds. This time, Lu Ming slowed down. Along the way, he encountered quite a number of Devil Temple clansmen who attacked him. They were all at the Spirit Embryo Realm. There were those at the 7th, 8th, and 9th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. They were all easily killed by Lu Ming. However, no points appeared on the Jade token. Could it be that Xie Qitian lied to me? Lu Ming's eyes shone with a cold light as he continued to fly. After a day, Lu Ming didn't know how far he had traveled when a city appeared in front of him. Looking from afar, there were figures on the city. They were human martial arts practitioners, and not Devil Temple clansmen. This should be the gathering place of the human race. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he flew towards the city. If there were people, he could ask them about Xie Nianqing. As Lu Ming approached, the people on the city noticed him and looked at Lu Ming coldly. It's a human. On the city wall, someone whispered with a bright gaze. Who are you? Someone on the city wall asked. I just entered the 9 underworlds not long ago. Please let me in. Lu Ming said. Newcomer. The eyes of the people on the city wall lit up even more as they said, Since you are a human, come in. Lu Ming nodded and flew up the city wall towards the city. The city wasn't big, so there were even fewer people on the road. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.